What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in this video we are back to talk about this post on Reddit about the upcoming Summon Rush event. This is going to be the last Summon Rush event in case you are doing the Cassandra fusion. Was it worth it to skip? In my opinion, yes, because the lineup we have for this event is absolutely insane. The champions we have available are just so ridiculous that 100% it was worth it to wait. Okay, so we are going to review these champions. I'm going to tell you some of the aspects that you should be paying attention to them. Some of them are definitely going to be game changers in case you obtain them in your account. Other ones are going to be just mid. They'll be nice if you get them, but they are definitely not worth participating on a progressive. So keep that in mind. Now, the first lineup of the champions that we have are for the first day. This is going to be two 24-hour events, and because of that, we have different champions that you want to decide. One of them are going to be more PvE focused, the other ones are going to be more PvP focused. So with that said, as always, if you guys like the information on these videos, make sure to share them with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Raid Shadow Legends content. And make sure to smash that like button like a boss. Now, who's a real boss is our first champion on the list. DuArktik is a very powerful damage dealer. I have this guy and he's absolutely insane in terms of damage dealing. He has a speed aura in all battles. He buffs himself with attack. He buffs himself with veil. So he's going to be very, very strong for Hydra. He's a champion based on attack and speed. So you want both of those stats on your champion. And he also increases his own speed with the second ability, but you don't have to book this ability. It's actually pretty solid that you don't have to book it. And he also buffs himself with block damage if he's about to die. Now this has a 3-turn cooldown, but because of that, you can solo certain type of content in the game. For example, like the Cursed City or Grim Forest or Faction Wars and so on. Like this guy not only has insane damage, he also has decent survivability, but it's going to be very stats based. So he's more of designed for late game players. Let's move on to the next champion. We have Light Ash Arrow, and this guy in my opinion is like mid AF. I would not build him up. I would not participate on a progressive for him. Again, he's like okay. He's a damage dealer for the Sylvan Watchers, but I'm not the biggest fan, and it's not only me with this opinion. He does damage, he buffs himself with unkillable, he ignores unkillable and block damage, attack based. Again, he's okayish. I would say like he's below mid, so yeah, skip. Let's move on to the next one, which is Thor Faithhammer, and this guy is busted. Like he's like a DuArktik level of powerful for dungeons and bosses, especially Hydra. But he also has some usefulness in PvP as well with buffs and debuffs. So he's a massive damage dealer. He does turn rewind. He's attack based. He bypasses block damage and unkillable that are very popular nowadays with different champions like Ilvi that give block damage and unkillable like Leonardo. And he does tons and tons of AoE damage, so you can use him with a Slayer set. Merciless set is also good for him. He buffs himself with increased attack and increased crit damage, so you don't have to rely on other champions like Makage or Fatman. And he also applies AoE slow, so he's very, very useful. The biggest problem with him is that he requires a lot of books. Not a lot, it's the average, right? I guess it's the average, like 12 or so. But yeah, and he also has a AoE attack on his passive that applies a stun. Now this is like RNG, you have to stack up your charges up to 10 and then you smack, but you don't have no control over this. So yeah, but he's very, very powerful. He's definitely worth your sacred charts in case you don't have him. Let's move on to the next champion, which is Crowcad, Throat Reaper, a champion that I skipped and I highly regret it. I skipped him because I didn't have DuArktik at the moment, and then I got DuArktik after the event ended. It's like the game was trolling me. He's another magic champion like Thor. He does insane AoE damage with all of his abilities. The first one is like individual AoE damage, which is like a strange mechanic, but cool. And yes, this AoE leech and weakness that can be very useful for all kinds of game modes. For Cursed Grim Forest, Cursed City, the harder faction wars, for Hydra, for anywhere, like even for a clan boss single target is still going to be very solid because of these debuffs. And yeah, but of course you are going to get the best when you have him together with Packmaster DuArktik. So if you still don't have this guy and you already have Packmaster DuArktik, definitely go for this guy. He might be the one I go for because he's just so busted in so many places. Okay, so yeah, let's move on from this amazing orc dog to the next one, which is orc, but he's on the Ogrim tribes. And this guy is pretty solid, but I have this new mindset in regards to bomb and poison champions that we just cannot rely on the bombs and the poisons. What matters is the other abilities, and this guy's other abilities are very solid. This AoE block active skills for 2 turns is absolutely busted, and people are sleeping on this guy because of it. The bombs are like, okay, feel the speed bar of this champion, okay. The biggest problem with him is that until you have him fully booked and with masteries and with solid gear, he's not gonna show his value. But after you have done that, then he's like very, very powerful. He also has a very strong single target stun, and if you have him with a merciless set, this ability can reset his skills quite often, making him once again very powerful. But the problem is that he also relies on other champions to protect him and keep him alive. So we have that in terms of like survivability, he has 0. So yeah, very powerful champion, but requires him to be fully maxed out in terms of books, masteries, gear, and so on, and he needs babysitting, so keep that in mind. Let's move on to the next champion, which is the Void Champions. Now, the first Void Champion we have, it's a dwarf, and this dwarf is absolute cancer. I hate him. I hate him because he makes me lose so many matches in PvP, in Tag Team Arena. Because when he's about to die, he gives himself stone skin, and after he's going to smack you with his AoE ultimate, which ignores increased defense, strength, and shield. So even if you think that you are safe, you are not safe. He's going to obliterate you, and the damage is just so crazy. This guy is absolutely busted, but he's just a PvP character. That's it. Again, in Arena, Tag Team Arena and Live Arena is great. Outside of that is nothing special. Let's move on to the next Void Champion, which is going to be Shalko the Blind. And this guy is pretty solid. He brings unique debuffs to your team if you need them. And he's also a very solid damage dealer. He also has this very unique design that I find really, really solid. And yeah, so massive single target damage, but he also has AoE damage as well. He also applies slow, increases the accuracy of your team because he needs accuracy, yes. And he also applies block passive skills, which is very rare, and also decrease defense. He also has a spread debuffs, which is great, but it's only for it's like Michelangelo, right? He's like the void version of Michelangelo with some extra juice. He's very powerful, definitely very, very powerful. But he's just a damage dealer debuffer, so you need to protect him. But you can see from the reviews that people really like him for bosses, for dungeons, and also for PvP. He's absolute MVP. If I would use some void shards, I would probably go for this guy, as he's very fun to play with. Let's move on to the next void champion, which is Acrisia. Now, Acrisia, she's another dwarf. She is like Gnut, doing max health damage, and because of that she's very, very solid in all dungeons. Everyone loves her except in PvP. In PvP she's not great because champions just have low health, but in dungeons, faction wars, any kind of PvE stuff, bosses, she's absolutely insane. Like, the damage she does is ridiculous. She also has low cooldown, so you can cycle through these abilities very, very fast. And she has some survivability, but it's nothing too crazy. And yeah, it's not as bad as she does not need like massive babysitting, but she's mostly a damage dealer. So if you are looking for something with more utility, you have to go for Shalko the Blind. Okay, let's move on to the next day. So this is the second day. We have the first champion is going to be Prince Kaimare, which is okay champion. He's an old champion, but he's nothing too crazy. Let me see if I can find him. So yeah, he's old champion. He has Arena Aura for 30%, which is massive. He places Sleep, which is good for Sun Devil, and he resets the skill of your cooldowns by 3. Now the problem is that it has a 7-turn cooldown, so yeah, it's not great. It's not great. You don't have to book him, he's gonna be good right away, but I'm not sure if he's worth your progressive chance. If you get him like from some random summon, it's okay, but yeah, his cooldowns are just way too long, and he's good for dungeons and for PvP, but for PvE he's not that good in my opinion. Let's move on to the next champion. We have Amok, the first trap, and like the name says, this guy is a trap. He's a okay-ish lizardman for Chimera. He does things like increase resistance and whatever else, but yeah, his kit is very complicated and he doesn't do enough. So yeah, I would skip this guy. Even if you'd get him from a random summon, I don't think I would build up this guy because his kit is just so convoluted and so hard to extract anything of value out of him. So let's just move on. Okay, the next champion is going to be Brava the Slitherer, and this champion looks amazing. I love the design of her, absolute waifu, and she's a reviver for the demon spawn. So if you still don't have a reviver on this faction, she can be your gal. She's going to give you increased defense and speed plus healing for the entire team on a 3-turn cooldown, so that's great. But it's based on her stats, so you have to keep that in mind. You need to make sure that she's very solid in terms of stats, otherwise the healing is going to be small. Then she has a single target revive that reduces the cooldowns, but this ability has no value if no one is dead, so it's like a useless skill if no one dies, right? So that's a big problem. And then we have her passive that also gives additional turn meter, a little bit convoluted, but it's great for Hydra. The reviews are great for her. I think they are a little bit inflated because she looks so good, but yeah, and she also has a speed aura for all battles that can be used for siege and also for PvP, PvE, and so on. Okay, after that we have Lord Entertainer Fabian, and I don't think there is a character more cancerous than Fabian in a raid. He's just absolute cancer. He's so annoying. So first off, he also has a speed aura in all battles. Then he has AoE, increase the cooldowns of the enemy skills by 3. So he does the opposite of Donatello and Prince Kaimare. And he's called the lockout champion because it will stop you from using your skills. And the only way to stop him is with a chronophage set, which not many people use. Then he can also apply True Fear and Petrification, absolutely insane in terms of crowd control. He has minor use for dungeons and bosses, but he's mostly used for faction wars and PvP, where he's absolutely insane there, so yeah. But yeah, he's definitely a good crowd controller in other places like Grim Forest and Cursed City. Even that is not as good for bosses, so keep that in mind. Absolute PvP master. Next one we have Duchess Lila 2. In my opinion, very overrated champion. She was an absolute legend back in the day, but nowadays, in my opinion, she's like nothing special. She applies Veil, she revives your entire team, increase attack, like no one gives a F about this anymore. But again, she's okay for Hydra. I think she's very overrated by how good she was like 5 years ago. Nowadays, she's a good champion for new players that don't know how to play the game. But if you are a good player, if you are someone that dominates the mechanics of the game, she's gonna be mid at best, that's it. But the reviews say otherwise, because again, these reviews are very old, and nowadays she's not as good compared. It's just a power creep, right? Okay, now you're gonna talk about the Void champions, and we're gonna start off with the Void champion that I have. I actually have most of these Void champions. We're gonna start with the Phoebe, and this champion is absolutely busted. Like Donatello is going to reduce the cooldowns of your champions, instead of by 2 is by 3, and that will give him insane value in certain dungeons like Iron Twins and other dungeons where you can one-shot the bosses right away. I also increase resistance, Perfect Veil, giving him value for Hydra. He also applies AoE slow and block buffs, again huge value for Hydra or anywhere where you use him. I use him all the time in Doom Tower. Tons and tons of turn meter, tons and tons of turn meter plus healing on the A1. And he also has a passive that has all kinds of weird mechanics with him. He's amazing. He's great. I would definitely use him on a supersonic set, 9-piece, yes, 9-piece supersonic, because he just gives so much speed bar, and he's going to be absolutely busted with that. Let's move on to the next champion, which is going to be Siphi. Siphi is a little bit overrated by how good she was in the past, but then she got nerfed, and now she's still amazing, but just not as good. And the value that she brings to the table is like giving your entire team tons and tons of buffs. Now, this is on a 4-turn cooldown, which is not the best. She also has a single target revive with decreased attack and crit chance, not crit damage, crit chance. So she has a limited range of which champion she can be used with. She also has this unresistible sleep that you can use against the Sun Devil. But again, this is like she has like a huge res, right? She has huge res from the wins she would get in the past, but nowadays she's not as good because I don't know. Maybe it's just the meta and the power creep. She's still amazing. She's just not as good as she was in the past. Okay, the last champion is Shuzen. And Shuzen, I also have her, and she's pretty amazing. Now, Shuzen, she's going to give AoE increased speed, AoE slow to the enemies. She's going to buff one of your champions with increased attack, crit chance, and crit damage. She also gives an instant turn. She also has low cooldowns on all of these abilities, but her aura is 30% only on Arena. She also places block active skills with her basic, which is very, very powerful. But yeah, she requires a lot of books. Or, I mean, it's not a lot, it's a decent amount. But yeah, her passive does not do much. Increases champion accuracy by the amount of speed. It's okay, like, it's solid, but it's nothing too crazy. For a Void champion, I feel like her passive is a little bit lackluster, but she's amazing in every game mode, as you can get so much value from these buffs, the instant turn, and also the increased speed and decreased speed. You can speed tune her with other champions that deal damage, and making sure that whenever they lose their turn, she goes. So it's like they have 2 turns back to back, and the damage output you can do with her is absolutely insane. But yeah, so those are all the champions that we have on this Summon Rush, so let's try to rate them now. So Cheshire Cat, again, pretty solid, but nothing too crazy, because he's just a damage dealer. This Skylight guy, garbage. Thor, I would make Thor a little bit bigger than Cheshire Cat. I would put Crowcat slightly bigger than Cheshire, but a little bit lower than Thor. Cross is solid, but nothing too crazy. Arnorn, PvP character, so skip. Shalco definitely better. I would put Shalco slightly below the cat, but not by much. Crisia, like, if you need a damage dealer, she's fine. If you don't need a damage dealer, she's like, okay. She's definitely better than Cross, but I would not put her above Shalco. And then on the other champions, Prince Kaimar, not a fan. He's okay, but not a fan. The Frog, no thanks. Brava, I would say that she's okay, but nothing too crazy either. Fabian is amazing for PvP, but not that great for PvE, so yeah. Then Duchess, she's decent, but nothing too crazy either, so maybe somewhere here. Phoebe is amazing for PvE, and he also has some value in PvP, so yes. And Siphi, I'll put around the Duchess as well, and Shuzen slightly above. It depends on what we are looking for. So these are the champions that I would prioritize. I'm probably gonna go for Crowcat, because Crowcat, even that is not as good as Thor, if you have Packmaster Shayak, is just much better. So there you go, that's how I would go for the summons. Once again, I'm probably gonna go for Crocad or Thor, or if I can hold a little bit, or if I can get any of them like early enough through the progression, then I'm gonna go for Lord Fabian, because I really want that guy. So there you go, guys. That's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, make sure to smash the like button like a boss. And as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure to share it with them with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Rachel content, and I'll catch you guys later.